meeting. We'll have a call to order, indication by Councilman Lott and Williams.
I thought in heaven would come. Thank you, Lord God, for every message you shared with us. We ask as we gather together this morning for this meeting that you would just have mercy and touch each and every one. And we pray, Lord God, that we would bless, that this meeting would go in an orderly fashion, and that all that is said and done will rightly go to your name. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So roll call.
Dr. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. McGee,
Here.
Reverend Williams, Mr. Carroll, Mr. Patel, Mr. Morgan, and Mr. Callis. We have no quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Our first item is to approve the February 2025 consent agenda. We have a motion.
Motion.
Do we have a second? Discussion? Do we have any public comments? All right, Alderman. Let's financials.
Sir, so we'll go December first, we were, got the year-end entries completed. We'll take 4. Oh, okay. The CD balance is 263, 451, 173, 566, our checking account balance was 63, 362. The money market was 985, 361. An unusual item we have on there, and I want to explain this, is that there is a prepaid payroll item on there. In the last payroll in December, Angie submitted 32 hours of leave to be paid, as part of her last December check. We had a software update that we do always at the end of the year, to get ready for year end. And in that software update, we did not realize that there was a change in the settings. So when we input that 32 hours of leave, instead of deducting it from her leave, it actually paid her for that 32 hours. We caught this after the fact, in our year-end procedures, and made Angie aware, and she made Dr. Lewis aware of that. And so we've gotten that corrected. We were amending the payroll tax returns, amending Angie's W-2, and Angie is paying back the overage of $1,183.83. It's an unfortunate accident that we just did not realize, but thankfully our internal control procedures did catch that in a timely manner. I've also spoken with Kurt Oster, the auditor, made him aware, so that he proceed with the audit, he understands what happened. We too was very glad our internal control procedures caught that. So I just want the board to be aware of that, and what happens is that is being paid back. We just emailed Angie that amount, yes, she'll have that positive back. No changes in property and equipment at the end of the year. On page 5, accounts payable at the end of the year was $16,387, and we had payroll liability $8. Net current year changes in net assets was $200,200. If you go to page 6, you can see that the occupancy revenues for the year were $947.51. We had budgeted $901,000, so we had an excess of $39,751 in budgeted revenue. So Expenses, operating expenses, we had, 387,106. Nothing out of the ordinary to speak of that we had already discussed throughout the year. And we had special events and grants of 336,782. So, the total revenue plus the total expenses gave us that profit of 200,220, for the year. And then we go to page 8, you can see compared, the year 23 versus the year 24, the 940,000 in revenue was over 26,000 more than the previous year. And our operating expenses were reduced by 86,000 for the year, and we expended in grants, almost 147,000. So we had a $200,000 profit versus the 58,507 loss. To the January financials, obviously kind of abbreviated, we don't have that one activity in there. No changes in our CD balances, our checking account balance was 23,619, and our money market balance was 985,444. Receivable for the month was 65,932. And I mentioned before, we still have to prepay. We just did that thing yesterday. On page 5, accounts payable were $1,234 at the end of January, and then we had prepaid payroll liability, which we amended that return for, we'll be getting the money back, $2,248. Our current year change in net assets is $43,682, which you can see on page 6. Our occupancy for the month of January was 67,278, a little bit below budget for the month. We had budgeted 75,000. And here again, I just remind you on the budget, we have developed that budget over years, probably have a 20-year, 25-year rolling history of that. So that's how we come up with the budgeted revenue numbers for operating expense-wise, we had 22,336 in operating expenses versus the budget of 29,453, and we did not expend anything on economic development. So that gives us a 43,682 profit. You can see on page 8, year-to-date January this year versus last year, while we were below budget, we were above what we collected in January 2024, by a little over $13,000. And our operating $26,000 less in the month of January. So everything financially is going the direction it should be. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. For December, can you explain what those last 2 canceled checks were cleared, never cleared? They were $9,000 amounts. Or am I reading wrong?
I'll have to get, because it's not single checks, I would have to get you the details. It would be multiple checks.
Is that what it is? It's multiple.
I can get the details.
Okay, but I'm seeing that right, is that correct? 2 checks, 9,000.
Well, it's not 2 checks, I think it's a combination of several checks. We're not in 2 different batches.
Okay.
But I'll get the detail of that and get that to you.
And the other question is, there was a moving expense of about $4,500. Was that expense RFP, or was it approved by a chair? How did that work?
For our policies and procedures, our operating procedures, expenses that comes $5,000, we can do. So and then also, best practice is I get quotes from 3 people, like movers, such as tackle and movers. And that was the total expense of the movers, the people that help, trucks and everything, but it wasn't over $5,000, so I didn't get.
So, it was one vendor that did all three, I'm assuming? It was one vendor that did all 3 aspects of it?
No.
So there were 3 separate?
It was, I had a, guy that cleaned our office.
Right.
Helped. And then there were, another guy that, hung the picture. And then the movers, it was half-horn that packed us and then moved us over towards the hearing.
And you did get 3 quotes regarding those?
Yes.
Okay.
And they weren't apples and apples because, not many movers in this area would pack us up and move us. So half-horn.
Thank you.
Commissioner comments? Public comments for item number 1? All right, all in favor, approve the consent agenda? Any opposed? All right, item number 2, motion to approve the February 2025 executive administration meeting committee special call meeting minutes. We have a motion.
Motion.
We have a second. Have any discussion from commissioners? Public comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Item number 3, motion to approve the February 2025 Economic Development Committee special call meeting minutes. We have a motion.
Motion.
We have a second. Comments from the commissioner, discussion. Public comments? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, number 4, motion ratifying and confirming the employment contract issued to Ms. Angela Bernardo on February 19, 2024, for the termination date of February 28, 2025. Do we have a motion?
We had a question about this earlier. Motion.
We have a second. Commissioner, discussion.
Yeah, I was wondering why, is there a way, I mean, are the dates, maybe that question should be directed to Ms. Sandy. Are the dates relevant? I mean, what are the dates for? And are they relevant?
The date of February 19, 2024 was when the contract issued to her. I'm not sure about the termination date, February 28, 2025.
That'd be when it officially ends, because it was a multi-year contract. So if we ended it, this is the old one, and enter it into a new one. What do you think is the next item? Can I answer the question?
Now, we were threatened to be sued by Ms. Vardo's attorney about this contract, and now the judge ruled the meeting that happened before the contract doesn't exist. What would be the purpose of us ratifying 1 year of this contract? What's the benefit to GAEDA?
It will end the litigation will happen.
No, that's a 5-year contract. It's not going to end the appeals court. I mean, it seems to me that this is employment that will stay. And it seems like we're going to be giving up rights. That would seem to expose any board member that votes for it. I don't see any benefit to GAEDA. I just don't understand why we would do this.
Can we vote?
Yes, sir. One of the final contractors and the challenge that they can have, government authorities, as the board is in this case, they can ratify and give to the board. So what ratification does is it gives the formal approval and acceptance and confirms the original contract that was issued on February 19th. As far as the termination date is concerned, I don't believe that's necessary because it's the next item is issued with the contract beginning today. So I don't know if that necessary, but the ratification is something that happens throughout the state of Louisiana, on board all the time.
We're under threat of lawsuits. Wouldn't this expose us more?
I don't know anything about the law. Remember, I wasn't,
I'm sure you're thinking about the threat of lawsuits.
I was not. I
But
just
you've never heard about it?
no.
Interesting, okay. Well, I go through that contract, and I know that we have found comparable compensation with other executive directors. This is obviously substantially in excess of that. It's $120,000 a year. It's a 5-year contract. We're talking about ratifying 1 year, but that would seem to expose us even more. And can board members be sued if we basically approve things that are considered to be excessive?
Yes, sir, and so, Mr. Carroll, as you know, since you've been on this board for several years, if you disapprove of it and you feel that you may be exposed, which I'm saying that's not the case, but if you feel that you can be exposed, you can do what you normally can do.
I would actually like legal opinion. Can a board member?
Which is a vote no, and that would absolve you any exposure, so that is your right to vote no.
You're not going to give us legal opinion on whether that exposes a board member?
I believe that the employment contract has been legally challenged, as you know. And so this governing authority, which is the board, and ratified a contract that was issued on February 19th.
I don't see any benefit to GAEDA, and I think it,
And your right is to vote no, Mr. Carroll. Chair.
Can we do a motion to substitute that date?
Yes, sir, you can. You have to be recognized by the chair as well.
Motion to substitute without the date?
disinfecting the creek for 5 years.
So the motion is on the floor to substitute all days, just one day.
Just determination, obviously without any of the data. I mean, because all we're doing is ratifying and confirming the formal contract.
Yes, sir.
Well, the initial date was just to recognize which contract, because you want
I
to
think you think that's fine.
Motion, motion to substitute, without the termination date.
we're going to ratify.
Yeah. So your motion to ratify and confirm the employment contract issued to Ms. Angie Bernardo. Yeah, on February 19th, 2024.
Correct.
So your motion is to approve it for 5 years.
Yes.
So let me just get, so if when we go to number 5, this will avoid the previous contract, just for understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't void and ratify.
No, it's ratified.
Say number 5.
Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, so when this will just go into the contract that we discussed during the meeting.
That's correct. Yes,
This
sir.
would be the one that we have
Just a year.
right here.
Yes, sir.
The one that's going to start. Really, nobody understand what we're saying, so.
So it's not another 5 year.
So you're ratifying a 5-year contract, right, on this one.
Number 4.
If I say for number 5, it will avoid. It would take away.
So if that compensation is determined to be excessive, that would limit and basically restrict our ability to ever go back and recover those funds. Do we think that's in the best interest of GAEDA? Just tell me clear what you're all doing.
So her motion is to ratify, confirm the employment contract issued to Ms. Bernardo on February 19, 2023.
Yes.
Before you do that, I understand your suggestion, but it is not a standard practice for governmental entities to issue multi-year contracts.
This would be a multi-year contract, this would just be, in other words, we're just ratifying it from the date. We're not, we're
I think you're not understanding what you're
You're
trying
ratifying the contract,
Right,
the whole contract,
right.
which is 5 years.
So we have a substitute motion to ratify the contract employment issue to Ms. Edward Bernardo on February 19th.
Motion.
We have a second for that, for the substitute motion. Second. We'll get a roll call vote, or public comments. Roll call vote.
Dr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Reverend Williams, Mr. Carroll, Mr. Patel,
No.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
and Mr. Callis.
All right, our next item was to authorize the issuance of a new employment contract for Ms. Angela Bernardo, effective February 18th, 2025. That would be issued, just say effective, February 18th, 2025. Is there a motion?
Motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Discussion.
This contract talks about a health savings account. What's the detail on the health savings account? What's the contribution? What's GAEDA exposed to?
No, the same that we've always gotten, from what is it,
I don't have the exact number.
the same number that.
It was in the budget, but I don't remember exactly what the annual amount was.
Is it a monthly?
Yeah,
No,
yeah, we switched to paying a monthly.
I have paid in the payment.
We were supposed to.
We only do one contribution, every one does one contribution. I think it was, I think maybe $5,000 for the year.
I just don't have the annual budget, so.
No, but it's not monthly, I don't know because,
So if it was monthly, it would show up in.
right, it's not monthly because I know what's in my account.
So when is that? Is that January?
January.
So it should be in January.
But we haven't issued the checks yet, so because we just did the budget in, January, we normally wait until the end of January, the first of February, because things go behind, so we haven't done any contributions to the retirement or to the health savings account.
I get you. What I'm saying is, there's no number here. So in this contract, there should be a number, a definitive number. It can't be, it should not be open-ended.
I think it's open-ended, I think it says that.
The number was from the budget that we approved.
I understand that, the contract holds its own. If the contract is open-ended, it's open for interpretation at that point, regardless of the budget.
I think this is a substitute.
There needs to be a number, that's what I'm trying to say. And, further down in this contract, there's a $1,000 sign-on bonus. Why is there a sign-on bonus when it's an existing new employee? And the sign-on bonuses are only necessary for recruiting talent. And for keeping talent.
After 20 years, you're gonna think
Very
you're
great
down.
talent.
No, a good soldier does not make a good general. That's what
Well, we
I'm
had
saying.
great talent.
But the thousand,
Say that again?
a good soldier does not make a good general.
Well, is a good general a good soldier?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Don't construe it.
I have. I'm trying to understand what you're saying because one.
What I'm trying to say is that $1,000 sign-on bonus is not necessary. It's only necessary in cases where you're recruiting talent and that talent has other options.
Does it have
And
to
you
be?
really need this talent. That's what the sign-in bonuses kick in. And typically, sign-in bonuses do not apply to existing employees.
That's why it's a new contract.
That's not how it works. The sign-on bonus is optional. And this is not in the best interest of GAEDA funds.
It's optional?
Yes,
Optional.
absolutely so.
Okay, that's all I want to do. Optional. But you got optional.
Any other commissioner comments, public comments?
Yeah.
Okay, we roll call vote. Oh, I'm sorry.
My name is Dan Henry Gray Jr. I'll be real brief about it, the issue at hand. The $1,000 sign-up bonus for his talent, what talent does this person have? Is he recruiting for $1,000? What skills do they have? People.
Person that we're talking about actually is the person who has been in the secondary position for up to 20 years and is now taking over. So she not only has the talent, but the experience,
And what?
being the executive director of GAEDA. Are you familiar with what we're talking about, sir?
No further.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Roll call vote?
Okay, Dr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Reverend Williams? Mr. Carroll?
No.
Mr. Patel?
No.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Mr. Callis? Motion passes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Motion to authorize legal counsel to file a motion to dismiss pending litigation on the grounds of the movement. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? I'll second. Commissioner comments?
Whose motion is this?
This is my motion.
Is your motion? Aren't we outside the window to file anything in the report?
Ms.
Ms. Anderson?
No.
We're not.
No.
Aren't they ruling in March and it's no oral arguments? Why don't we allow them to just rule?
You can vote no, Mr. Carroll. This is a motion
No, I
on the floor.
can't. Are we a party to this?
Mr. Carroll, you can,
Are we a party to this?
you
It's a
can
simple
vote
question.
no, the motion is on the
You're
floor.
not gonna answer.
I'm not gonna go back and forth with you, because obviously you know more about it than it seems like everybody else here. So I'm not gonna go back and forth with you,
Your
Mr. Carroll. You
responsibility
can
as a
vote no.
board to do the
Mr. Chair,
research.
I'm done.
Any other commissioner comments, public comments?
This is for the previous contract.
This was followed by,
So I'm trying to gather an understanding. What's in litigation is just not for being appointed to executive director.
No,
It's just a contract.
that's correct.
Okay.
No, let me, the lawsuit that was filed was about the meeting didn't have proper public notice because there was a holiday in the middle. Okay, therefore, the judge ruled the meeting didn't happen, therefore the contract didn't happen. Don't just ratify the contract that didn't happen, okay? But now it's an issue, okay, because it was a 5-year contract.
But still, but it answers my question.
It's in the appeals court right now, they're really supposed to rule in.
For the contract, correct?
No, it's whether or not the meeting happened or not, therefore whether that contract is valid, as I understand.
But on that day, the meeting was about a contract.
Yeah, that was one of the things that was.
So it goes back to the answer, so the lawsuit is about the contract, if the meeting happened or didn't happen.
Whether it's a valid contract or not.
All right, so understanding and researching, like you said, we all should research. You can appeal any of this, you can dismiss any of this, because there's a new board. A new board can make up a new contract. The old board, had a meeting on the contract, it's null and void. So anyone can come in here and create a new contract, as if we sold a business.
Correct.
We sold it to someone, and they can just do a new contract. So I don't understand YouTube's disadvantage to it, but let me finish. To understand that all we're doing is moving on to a new contract, getting old stuff behind us, so that we can do what GAEDA needs to be doing, instead of fighting old news and old things. So that, to answer, to understand, the argument is that the meeting did or did not take place. And the contract was done on that particular meeting. That doesn't matter. It's what matters now is moving forward, that you go into a new contract with an executive director and move forward. That's what I was trying to get an understanding of what took place, was that she wasn't approved as the executive director, but that was on another meeting. Okay, which is, nobody's contesting that part. Okay, we're only contesting the contract. Okay, that's all. Just understand.
Any public comments? Roll call vote?
Dr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Reverend Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Carroll? Mr. Patel?
No.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
And Mr. Callis. Motion passes.
Thank you. Number seven, motion to rise authorizing the change of certificates of deposits held in Brooks Federal Bank from former executive director Clifford Mullins to new executive director and to add the chair. Any, motion for that item?
Motion. Second.
Second, comments? Roll call vote. Public comments, I'm sorry, public comments. Roll call vote,
Dr. Lewis?
yes.
Mr. McGee? Reverend Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Ms. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
And Mr. Callis. Motion passes.
Thank you, ma'am. Motion number eight, motion to approve a cooperative labor agreement with Explorer Alexandria Pineville in the amount not to exceed $15,000 for meals and advertising, marketing, and $5,000 for fireworks show for the Louisiana Future Farmers of America Conference held May 30th through June. Do we have-
Well, I'm requesting that this item is held over, the CBD, which is Explore Alexandria Pineville now, I didn't know they had this brand name. But they're asking for a little time to put together, a presentation. This is the last part of a April 2021, 4-year contract that we had with the CBD to host FFA. But again, with time constraints, we weren't able to get the, cooperative endeavor agreement done. So I'm requesting that we hold it until next month.
You can make a motion to, postpone it to the next board meeting.
All right, we'll have a substitute motion to postpone number eight until next meeting, March 2025. We have a motion,
Motion.
we have a second,
Second.
all in favor? Any opposed? Item number nine, a motion to approve a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Russian Symphony Orchestra in the amount not to exceed $20,000 for the 2025 concert series. We have a motion for that item,
Motion.
we have a second,
Second.
discussion.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be so wordy today. I was sent a copy of the act that created us, a copy of the ordinance that the city council approved. When I read through it, it talks about the purpose of GAEDA. And you gotta realize, I support a lot of these items on here. However, when I read this, I kind of take pause. Our purpose is defined in one sentence. Centuries, the district shall have as its purpose cooperative endeavor, cooperative economic development between the city of Alexandria and the district in order to provide for the renovation, restoration, and development of property in the city of Alexandria and district. Pay the cost of capital improvements, etc. It doesn't say anything in there about us doing events and other things, and I know we've done them for years, but I read this, and I read the ordinance that the city council approved, and what this looks like is we're supposed to be sending money to the city and to the city council to determine how to spend it for property development, restoration, renovation. And I've voted for stuff like this before in the past, and I still support them. I support a lot of them. But I would like to get a legal opinion on what that is and if we're allowed to do that. When I read that, and it's very clear to me what this is. It's for property, not for the other things we've been doing. And I know initially we didn't do cooperative endeavor agreements, those kind of things. That was done later. I don't know why I wasn't here when that was done. Again, I don't want us to get in trouble for something we're not supposed to do.
a legal opinion for doing grants outside of capital projects.
Correct. I knew that was going to be unpopular. But now that I know it, I can't unknow it.
Any other commissioner comments? Item number 9. Any further comments? Do you have anybody?
Yes.
I'm Terry Oban. I'm a member of the board for the Rapid Symphony, and we appreciate the previous support that this authority, the support and confidence that this authority has had in the work of the Rapid Symphony. As far as what we do, our mission coincides with the mission of GAEDA. You know, it's writers on economic development say and write in their publications about the fact that if that supporting the arts helps revitalize downtown. You know, this year we expect to have 4,800 attendees to symphony events, several hundred per event. At the downtown Pops, we're expecting, at the downtown on the river Pops, we're expecting 1,500 to 2,000 people if the weather holds. If not, then we have a rain out venue, but we're expecting to bring 200 hotel rooms used this year. We're expecting that there'll be an economic impact using GAEDA's metrics of about $220,000. Events for the symphony are 2-day events. They culminate in a performance. This year, for the March concert coming up, it'll be a 3-day event, March 15th and 16th. After the Saturday night concert, we're holding the musicians over to a Sunday free and open to the public zoo performance. Hundreds come to these events. You'll see people from all walks of life. You'll see people from all walks of life, from the wealthiest to the least wealthy. They're bringing their children and grandchildren. They're on the sidewalks downtown. They're eating in restaurants. They're shopping at our local stores. So we think the missions of both the symphony and your group benefit each other. So we do hope that you'll look kindly on this request for funds for this year.
Any other public comments? Roll call vote.
Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Reverend Williams, Mr. Carroll,
No.
Mr. Patel,
No.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
and Mr. Callis. Motion passes.
Thank you, ma'am. Number 10, motion to approve the cooperative endeavor agreement with the Evans Energy Zero Board. Amount not to exceed $30,000 for the 2025 exhibition series. We have a motion.
Motion.
We have a second. Second, do we have any discussion from the commissioners? Public comments? A roll call vote?
Dr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Reverend Williams, Mr. Carroll, Mr. Patel,
No.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
and Mr. Callis. Motion passes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Next item, motion to approve the cooperative endeavor agreement with Brick Oaks Square Arts Center in amount not to exceed $15,000 for the 2025 exhibition series. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second? Have a second, commissioner comments?
I have a question, for the Big Four. These numbers of 20,000, 30,000, 15,000, 20,000, how did we come up with those numbers? And how was the recommended values arrived at?
Well, openly, economic ability last week or last Thursday, we went over it right on it.
Right. My question is that in these cases, the amounts requested were give or take double. And why did we give about half to these organizations?
Because at this time, what we're doing as a new board is reconstructing and recalibrating what we're doing. And I say the last meeting, you may get what you requested, you may get less, you may get more. But the thing is, we're gonna be going over the policies and procedures with a fine-tooth comb to make sure everyone is qualifying for what they're asking for. Because we have some that are on there who don't have other sponsors. There are some who are asking for their entire budget. So if you're asking for your entire budget and you don't have any sponsors, that's not part of the policies and procedures. So that means
So
that.
you're asking for 100% of the budget, he doesn't qualify.
No, because we're not putting the whole bill. That's not what GAEDA is for. GAEDA is to aid, to help.
Okay. Now, what I'm saying is, as far as consistency goes, and I can't speak for the Symphony, the Museum, or Arts Council, but I know a little something about River Oaks and what they do and their operations. What I can say is that I do not believe that all four of these organizations were equally weighted, meaning that which organization has more of a need for funds than others. Some organizations get more public funds than others. In the case of River Oaks, there's board members putting money out of their pocket to keep that thing afloat. And they were banking on the 28,000 that they had requested from GAEDA. Okay? Not only that, but I don't see it as just quality of life. It's also an employment factor. They employ 3 people that, give or take, is about $130,000 to $140,000 in our community. I think it's important for GAEDA to evaluate these things on a weighted basis. Who has the greater need, not necessarily what are they asking for. And just because they're a part of this subsect, they all get the same treatment.
Well, it's not just that, we're also looking at what they asked for before, the last time that they came. We're looking at what they did after they got the money, they sent in their reports like they were supposed to, and accurately. We're also looking at what we're working with on our budget at the present. So we have to look at these 3 factors, or even more than that, before we make a determination on what they requested and what we're available and what we're able to do.
Well, even the application
I mean,
process.
just because you ask for 30,000 doesn't mean, hey, okay, we'll give you 30,000.
Well-
If it's not in the budget and and it's not feasible to the budget, why would we give you 30,000? But we don't want to say, okay, we're not going to just cash you aside. We can help in this capacity.
And the fact that we had a lot of complaints that we're giving out too much money to organizations, that was the main thing about it.
And the other thing that it seems to be money. Cooperative endeavor agreements, that's why I stopped using the grant application for everything. That's really fine. Because half the stuff in there doesn't apply to what y'all are calling the big four, the museum,
Right.
graphic, etc. They did proposals. They submitted information and they asked for what they could do for the year to do this. Period. Has nothing to do with the application, the grant application. That's a different criteria.
Okay. What I'm saying here is that in the case of these 4, I saw all 4 of their packets, and all 4 of their packets vary. And River Oaks, for example, had the most information in their packet above the other 3. And I'm not picking one over the other, I'm just saying because I understand River Oaks a little bit more than others. But what I'm saying is that River Oaks had a more complete packet, and they had their P&L, which was very important. I think it's important that we're looking at P&L to see the desire or need for money, or ask more questions if they come up during the meeting. But I think that just putting a blanket on these on subsect organizations is not the correct way to do this, because there's unfair treatment there and inconsistencies. It's not a consistency to just take it across the board and say, hey, all of you get 50% of what you're asking.
I don't think that's what we're done. I think it just end up, I think it may just be a coincidence that it looks like that, but I don't think that that's what was done. Everyone was cut in half. Because as a matter of fact, if you move on down, some of them were cut more than half. Some of them were increased.
But,
Exactly.
okay, well, what I'm doing is, I want to reconfirm with you. You're saying that we can't give 100% grant?
No, I didn't say that. I said.
We were just complaining about giving too much money, and
Okay.
now we're complaining about that.
Right,
But I can answer your question.
earlier you said,
No, it's not saying that we're not gonna give you 100. There are some that may get 100% of what they requested. And then there are some that may not get 100.
We allocated, we had to take into consideration the projects and the logistics. Some other projects, capital projects that y'all wanted to do that we're anticipating doing this year. That was the biggest factor on why we cut it down.
cutting it down isn't the issue. Cutting it down is what we should be
We
doing.
will revisit it at the end of the year, but we wanted to get the capital project, which we thought was very critical. That was the number one thing, to make sure we had enough for the capital project, make sure we had enough for any additional capital projects that were coming in. And then we have to adjust if we make, when we make the decision to bring her on. We discussed all this in the economic development.
Shaving the budget is fine, or cutting down these grants is fine, but you cannot be unfair with your.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we have anybody for this item, for membership in, River Oak Square, who want to speak, public comments? Yeah, one, public comment.
Public comment.
Or any public comments for this item?
I have a question.
Take it from-
Member Meister. My name is Tom.
My name is Tony Brown. I'm a business owner here in Alexandria. How much is factored in when they're requesting all this money? This may just be a general question and not being particular about who's getting or who's asking for what. I thought that GAEDA received their resources from a hotel motel tax. When you're passing out this money, and I see here $10,000 for advertising, 10,000, I'm not singling them out. And I see a lot of people Juneteenth for advertising. How much is factored in about can they fill a hotel room on a Friday or a Saturday? Is that part of the consideration when you're issuing out this money? Because initially, when I would come to GATO, when it first got established years ago, and I attended the meetings, I thought the bylaws required that if they're gonna get grant money, they're gonna need to put something in, or at least GATO's gonna be able to get something out, or at least a return on their investment. It's called an ROI. And the money you guys are handing out to organizations are not diverse in their clientele. They're not diverse in where they market. In fact, most of the people asking for marketing, and I own 2 radio stations, I never see any of that money, with the exception maybe of Juneteenth, and it's a sprinkle. So I'm just trying to get a better understanding. Has things changed to the point where you guys are just handing out money to everybody, not considering if they are actually contributing to the initial bylaws that were set up to fill hotel rooms? I have an organization that's considering coming in, and we're discussing applying for a grant. We're being in 5 different states. We've already booked 650 hotel rooms. And I'm just trying to understand what has happened to where you guys are just financing people's total budget. Is that what we're doing here? Or are we going back to what it was initially established as, to put something in to get something? And I thought it was about hotel rooms, because that's how you guys make your money. Just a point of information for me.
You're absolutely correct. We do look at those things. We look at what rooms are booked, how many people they're bringing in. If you look at I don't know if there's a copy of the policies and procedures, but all of those requirements are in that package, in the policies and procedures. So we look at things from last year as well. We look at what's upcoming, what the organization is projecting. how many people they're projecting to bring, how many rooms they blocked off, how many rooms they booked, or if that's the same. And then we go from there.
Okay, what are the checks and balances? So you look at the previous year.
Right.
The
If
checks,
there's a previous-
yeah, if there's a previous year, and I get that. But if they haven't filled any hotel rooms and nobody has stayed overnight, how do you visualize that and reconcile that? And I guess the other part of that equation is, do you go back and look at where they spent their money? Because a lot of the money is for marketing. And I own 2 radio stations. I have a radio show that's been here for 23 years. And we believe in diversity, 100%. But I've never seen $1 from any of these organizations. Do you mandate that they are fair when they are spending their advertising dollars? Are they all spending that at one product, Semi Broadcasting, at Kinetics, or wherever the case may be? Is that part, because I see a very diverse group here. Shouldn't the resources that they're spending on marketing be just as diverse? Especially when you're living in a city that's a majority African American city. Non-urban dictates are problematic. That means we don't have to advertise with them because they're going to come anyway. It's a major concern that I have because you guys are issuing out money and it's not fair if these people are sending those resources to the same people who are their friends, who are not diverse in their hiring practices, and their product is not diverse. It's a problem, and it's hurting my business and other businesses just like it.
Once again, I'm Dan Hemingway Jr. And in 2018, I was elected president of Central Louisiana Consumers Taking Charge. I'm not bragging or anything, but I have expertise in investment, brokers. And you people nowadays that got businesses won't lose out on your money. You'll make a profit.
Sir, I wanted to address some of your concerns. In the past, when GAEDA has been making grants, there has been, as the chair said, checks and balances in place on the application as far as, hey, what are you bringing from an economic impact perspective? And they disclose whatever it may be. We're bringing this many hotel rooms, or we're doing this much in economic impact. And based on that, these grants are made. Now, to your point, afterwards, there's absolutely no accountability from this organization. And that's what I've been trying to work on. And that's where some of my fraud allegations have been coming from in the past, is that if you're taking money and not fulfilling your obligation, you are hereby committing fraud, and this board is letting you commit that fraud. Thank you for your comments.
But let's keep in
The
mind,
fraud comments are his sole opinion.
let's keep in mind, we do not pay these individuals directly. We do not pay for any services until the services are done. Am I right, Ms. Bernardo? Okay.
Payments are made directly to them, not to the
Or
organization.
reimbursement to the organization upon proper documentation. To say that I've been here 20 years, no organization have we worked with, and I went back to look at after you made that statement. Chapel Hill, it was the Coliseum that didn't come because they had internal problems. So that group did not come. But they had done some advertising already. Does that radio station or TV station deserve not to be paid? Because the services were rendered. GAEDA paid the invoices. The other thing is to have a criteria set that we created, grant policies and procedures, and have people fill it out, take the time to fill it out, the cooperative endeavor agreement. We ask for estimation
on those forms, an estimation. There is no way that they can, and most of them, all of them come very close to
the numbers that they put in their application. I've presented placement reports to show you the foot traffic. To say we have no accountability is wrong. It's just misinformation. It's not correct.
We asked these questions in the past about accountability.
My 20-year reputation with GAEDA, this misinformation about misappropriated funds and different things like that is just not correct. We do an outstanding job, being counsel, legal counsel, staff, which has been me, okay? I know what I have done. And I can't sit here any longer and listen to this being put out that somehow we are not doing what we're supposed to do, or we're not being good stewards. Our audits have been clean. They look for things like that. I don't know when, all of a sudden, we started being this corrupt organization that everybody is pretending that we are. I put these organizations in hell getting this stuff ready for you all. And they do it. They do their final reports. They're good stewards of the money. And to get them up here and berate them and say that they're committing fraud and we're helping them, it's just unacceptable.
Let's use your example of Chapel Hill, and I'm not throwing them under the bus, but they accrued whatever cost they accrued, but they did not fulfill their economic impact. They did not fulfill what they presented they were going to fulfill. And that's my point. And I understand that within reason, groups are.
They're GAEDA had an agreement with the Coliseum to pay invoices. The grant contract, we have that with them, not Chapel Hill. We have them. If a tornado came and knocked down the Coliseum,
Then we don't owe anyone any money
if they,
because there was no economic impact.
that's not what
You cannot just issue checks just because it's an arbitrary, hey, they could have come, but they didn't. They didn't fulfill their, well, our contract needs to be modified. That's what I'm trying to say.
They met the criteria of the contract.
Well, the contract criteria then are the problem.
Okay. If you would like to change it,
Let me
then I
just
would
read the
put
language.
it in there.
Can I just read the language? Our typical cooperative endeavor agreement. Recipient's responsibilities, number one, recipient will hold the event in Alexandria on X date. That's the standard language we've had in every one of them for as long as I know. Okay. Our responsibilities after the event. If the event didn't happen, the contract wasn't satisfied. We as an organization can't pay, as I understand. Okay? It'd be like the state hiring a contractor to build a road and going, I didn't build a road, but I came up with a lot of expenses. Well, they're not gonna pay that. That's the problem. Our contract specifically says, item number one under responsibilities. The recipient will hold the event in Alexandria on X day.
Which contract are you looking at?
I'm just, pulled one from the other day.
Which
Which
one?
one this is. I mean, you probably pulled anyone from today.
That's not what I'm reading, that's why I'm asking which one you're looking at, because the one I'm looking at doesn't say that at all.
So we don't require them to hold the event anymore.
If you look at recipient responsibilities, A is the recipient shall completely organize and make all arrangements for the event, and the duty shall include and go through A through D. I don't see what you're reading, but I could be, maybe one that you have is wrong, maybe it has something different, but the one I'm looking at doesn't have that, that's what I'm
This
actually
was an old one.
referring to. What you're reading.
So we're not requiring them to hold the event. Is that what you're telling me?
What I'm asking, that's not what it has in there, recipient responsibility. What it says, if you look at the one I'm looking at, River Oaks, but you're saying number one on what you're referring to, say they require to hold the event.
River Oaks might have a different contract.
I'm gonna pull up, let's read something. All these are recitals.
Chippewa is only different.
Okay, I'll do the Alexandria Museum of Art. Okay, whereas, third paragraph, whereas recipients will host exhibition and related arts cultural programming to be held between January 1 and December 31 collectively as the events. I'm assuming that's the new language that's in there, which requires them to hold the event.
The point is that there should be further accountability. Last year, we had an organization that came in here and they got, I think, $7,000 or $8,000 for advertising and marketing. On their proposal, they had 150 people in attendance, and they had about 50 hotel rooms in attendance. Well, that organization, we actually did a drive-by on it, and there were about 15 to 20 people in that ballroom, and they were not wearing our t-shirts that we had paid for either. So, I think that we do have an accountability issue, and I think that if we're issuing grants and funds based on a certain production or expectation, then we should hold them accountable. We should hold ourselves accountable. This is not our money. We have to keep that in mind. This is the people of Alexandria's money,
You're absolutely right. May I ask, you keep saying you did a drive-by,
right?
because I don't recommend t-shirts anymore.
Okay, well, where's the marketing funds going then? Because marketing funds isn't advertising.
That would be an organization.
We do not do t-shirts or something that we held at a ballroom. Which organization are you talking about? And why do you
They put t-shirts on their application. It was,
That doesn't mean that we funded for that. Advertising and marketing means radio, television, printed material. And if you look at the applications, and if you were in some of the meetings that were in the staff meetings, we go through each one of those line items, and we mark out what we are willing to recommend to you and what we're not willing.
I
So
understand.
again, that blanket statement is incorrect.
Well, here's what, forget about the t-shirts. Forget about the t-shirts. Let's talk about their attendance. Let's talk about attendance. If they put on their application that we are expecting about 150 people, yes, that's fine. And if 100 show up, like, you know what, some people didn't show up, but you got less than 50 in there, that's deceptive.
How did you vote for those motions, for those corporate endeavors that they came up? Did you vote for them or against?
I'm pretty sure I voted against it because I knew it wasn't gonna be producing.
Are you sure or are you not sure? Can you accurately say, no, I did not vote for that? Yes, I did vote.
I will verify and I will let you know for next meeting. But that's besides the point, whether I voted for it or not.
Actually, it is part of the point because you're spotting out fraud on our behalf with the source of you.
Yes, I said this board. I at no point pointed any fingers. I said this board.
If you voted for it and you're saying fraud, then you voted for fraud yourself.
Absolutely. You are 100% right.
Here's my point.
You are 100% right. And I have no problem throwing myself under the bus.
Do that first.
That's accountability. You have to have self-accountability to be on a board.
Have self-accountability before you throw the rest of the organization under the bus.
It's
First,
true.
I voted for them and I shouldn't have, and this is where I see fraud at. Instead of saying the organization is doing fraud, and we're allowing the other organizations to do fraud.
Okay,
Yourself in there
so,
first.
well,
First of all, I wasn't here last year, so don't sit there and spout off something about a whole organization, and some of us were not here. A.
Okay.
Two, put yourself in there first, then say the rest of the organization, because when you put us in as a whole, I'm not part of that.
Okay. Here's my question.
This would have been more appropriate if you saw it. Call the office. Talk to the executive
Here's my
director,
question.
so we could look into it. Not wait until they get up here and then start throwing language out there like that.
Okay, here's my question, okay? And it's a straightforward question. We have a grant application that comes in right now, and they say, hey, look, we got 150 people in attendance. We're pushing about 50 room nights, and we give them a grant for whatever that dollar amount is. Now, upon final audit, the audit shows that they had 30 people at their event, and they only utilized 10 room nights. What do we do as an organization? Do we still finish cutting their checks for them? I'm asking a question.
Again, at that point, and there's no full-faith way, at that point, they have the event, we give it to them for advertising and marketing. We give it to them for advertising and marketing. They're advertising and marketing the event prior to the event. We pay those invoices, okay? If the final report 30 days later comes back and they didn't meet that, the only way that we can hold them accountable is, again, you told me, well, that's not true. They can't come back. They won't come back.
In other words,
Yeah, but our money is still flush,
It may be, but again, we have.
which means that that organization misled us.
Can we go to public comments? We got, okay.
Hello, my name is Barbara.
My name is Barbara Hayes. I'm a member of the community of Alexandria. I work for the Alexandria Convention Center downtown, and I'm also on the Hotel Motel Association Board in Alexandria Pineville area. My question is, we're talking about accountability, we're talking about a lot of things, and my question is, what do we do to hold these events, accountable? And are we still using the PACER like you mentioned before? It was a cooperative agreement, I believe, between the CDD and also the GAEDA. It's data we already, I believe, are still paying for unless the contract has been nulled. And the only thing that costs us money is to pull down and have somebody trained to put the reports out. We're still getting this data monthly. There's no cost to access the data, to pull it down and analyze it. And this data will show us what restaurants they went to. They will show us what hotels they stayed in. They will tell us what ballparks they went to. They will tell us what grocery stores they went to. So the ability to go ahead and hold all of these cooperative endeavors to see what they actually produce is having a person trained to pull that information down and to utilize it. And my question is, if we're still paying for the service, are we using it? And is it publicly accessed to the people who are helping bring the funds in, which is the Hotel Motel Association? We would love to see what these groups are bringing in, and we would love to see the reports on those.
Currently, we're not in an agreement with the CBD any longer with Placer, because a month ago, we were talking about getting rid of the granting process. So we didn't renew, to share it. I was going through training with, Placer representatives and was very, well versed on it.
Great.
So, and along with the CBD, we were doing that together, and at the time, I believe, Ms. Snow, when she was on the board.
Also, yes.
We have reports from 2023, but again, 2024.
Well, if we were still paying membership dues, can't we still access that data? Most contracts, even though I stopped it last month, but if I wanted to go retrieve the data that was on a repeat client coming back, I can go and pull that data because I still have access. I can't have access moving forward because it's a new event and we're not tracking it. But if we go back and when the grant proposals come in, I'm not saying we do every single one, but when we have a repeat, wouldn't that be a wise investment to pull down what they actually produced?
It would, but that would be the CBD, at their discretion.
So we are no longer,
Right now, we're not under that, addendum to
Okay.
have access to it any longer.
can we look at how much that would cost? Because I think a lot of the discussion we had here is the uncomfortableness of being held accountable. If it's we're giving the right money out, or if they're using it correctly, or if it's being spent correctly. All of these areas would be addressed if we were able to pull these reports. That was just my thought on that.
Again, and that's what we thought, when we were actually doing that, to hold ourselves accountable.
Exactly.
As we got it, I think we got it 2 years ago, this was in our 3rd year, but again, we'll have to revisit all of that, because right now we don't have.
Yes. And how often are we reaching out to the providers of these groups to make sure they actually actualize? Because as we're talking about before, groups cancel all the time. That is my 100 business. Does that make sense? It happens all the time. That's why our contracts are written the way they are. That's why we follow up with them. That's why we have protocols, okay? So it's something that's gonna happen. It's not that we're gonna be able to not address these issues. They're going to be there, right? Constantly. So I get that we have them. But so when somebody comes back and we ask for money, GAEDA may or may not know what actually produced on the ground. Receipts only show you one window of what actually happened. So I don't know if we need to maybe reach out to these vendors to say, hey, they said they did 20 room nights. They said they did 100 room nights. They said they did it at the 4 points. Can you verify this number? We do this with the CVB. We do our room nights every single month. We produce to them to show that their money is going in the right area.
If you, look on our website, there's a copy of our final report that each organization has to do. And they do, they submit their, not when they fill out the application, they have an estimate of what they're going
Correct.
to do. The final report is their action.
Correct.
And we call if they use the Bentley, the Holiday Inn, but they're really good about signing off on them and printing them out.
So so the hotels sign off on them or the people
The
sign off on them?
hotel sign off on
So
them.
you're in regular contacts, because I've been working in this market for 5 years. And I worked with VFW, I worked with lots of GAEDA money when I was at the Holiday Inn. I was general manager of the Holiday Inn downtown for over a year. And then before that, I worked at the CBB for about 6 months. And now I've been with 4 Points and the Alexandria Convention Center for about a year and a half. I've never once been asked about an experience that received GAEDA money. Never once.
I remember you were in the Holiday Inn because, some people in the VFW.
Yes.
They submit information, because I called, help fill out those forms.
Yeah, and I think we're actually asked you after lunch, and I couldn't do that. So I learned the etiquette of not taking a board member out to lunch, so I appreciate that. So yes, I was reaching out, because that has been my goal, to make sure that GAEDA is getting the right numbers to be able to show that they did that. And if they didn't produce the numbers, then we say no next year. If they did produce the numbers, then we say yes next year. I mean, it comes down to simple things. But one more question, just because I have the mic real fast. You mentioned earlier that when a group comes and they ask for money, they may not get the money they ask, the amount. They may get less, but they may get more. What example would we give more than was requested?
If it has a more, impact economically, if it has a more sound impact, and if it's growing, if that organization is growing and that event is growing from last year, then it would be.
But shouldn't I, as a organizer, know and be able to ask for more money? Because if they're not asking for the money, they may not need it.
Oh, we don't, that's not what we mean.
I thought he said, sometimes we give the money, sometimes we give less, and sometimes we give more. And then
Yeah, those are based on.
we're not doing that now as a common practice. We are not gonna give anyone more money than they have originally requested. They have to resubmit, that's still requested, but I'm not gonna give you're not gonna give somebody, when I ask for 20 and give me 30.
No.
That's not gonna happen, because it was very concerning to me, because they may have ways of paying for that they're not asking data
No,
for.
I think what you mean is like, 1 year is 30,000, the next year is 20.
So comparison.
Our numbers went up, then we give them more than we did the last year.
Perfect.
Not give them more.
Comparison makes sense, I appreciate, thank you for clarifying
I
that.
apologize for the wording.
Good morning, Karen Franklin. I stand before you not the author of any confusion, but with a request. Thank you, Ms. Barber. She came with something that I deemed was a solution potentially to the questions that were asked around accountability and grant applications and holding people accountable this year versus next year. My request is that the board, Mr. Chairman, would recognize the public and the scrutiny and the discomfort that this audience has felt or is feeling based on the discussions that are happening. I think there is a 3-minute limit to conversations. If I come to the podium, I think maybe the board needs to consider the length of your conversation and maybe enact that 3-minute upon yourselves. It was very disheartening and discomforting to walk in this morning, and I think there are people here that align with me. That we must address issues in an appropriate manner and in an appropriate forum. And this morning, this display is not appropriate. Again, I'm not the author of confusion or conflict, but resolution. Please, that's my request of this board.
First of all, Tony Brown again, I support 100% what you guys are doing. Always have. I agree with what the sister said just a minute ago and with this other sister said a minute ago. There has to be some accountability. And you guys are giving out hundreds of thousands of dollars, much of it for advertising. I'm here to tell you right now, I've been owning a radio show for 23 years. I've been owning the station for almost 10 years, and I've never gotten a dime in advertising.
There's people that have audiences. Has a wonderful audience, huge audience. They deserve to get advertising dollars. We deserve to get advertising dollars. There has to be some accountability at the end of the day where you're looking at these people who say that they're advertising, where they're spending their money. Are they being diverse? Are they spending it on a few signs and then pocketing the rest of the money? It's a problem. I see the CVB advertising fireworks. They've been doing it for years. They did it prior to GAEDA. Why all of a sudden is GAEDA giving them money? They got it done before. There's something that organizations have to understand. If you're an NGO, you have a board. It's your job to go out there and find the money and not come and ask GAEDA for something that you can do for yourself, especially a municipality, especially a city. For a city that has resources to come up here and ask y'all for money is unconscionable and shameful. All you have to do in most places when you go down to Lake Charles and they have the contraband days or whatever the heck they have a separate organization where they go out specifically to get the money. Ecclesiastes 10:19, a feast is made for laughter, wine makes merry, but money answers all the things. So when they come to you and they say, where did you advertise? I'm asking for y'all to make sure that they are as diverse as this city in their advertising. It's a shame that I have to come up here and beg for a couple $100 from Juneteenth, a Juneteenth festival. And we have the only locally owned, Black-owned commercial station in this market. The only one. The others may play Black music, but they're not owned. And many of them, the ownership is not even here. Mix is owned in Shreveport. KAYT, a non-commercial station, is owned in Cocoa Beach, Florida. I'm trying to create jobs. And I can't create jobs and build my business if I don't get support from you. And you demand an accountability that when they advertise, we need to see who you're advertising with. It needs to be diverse. And y'all need to hold them accountable because they're taking the money and they're spending it with people who are not diverse. I don't hear about what goes on at the River Oaks Arts, but they're coming up here and asking for money. They don't let me and my family know and my grandchildren know that, hey, we can go to this exhibit. I don't know unless you tell me. And if you're only advertising with one product that is not diverse, if you're advertising with a rock station, you're primarily Caucasian audience. If you advertise with an urban audience, you're going to get primarily an African-American audience. It's not rocket science. Spread the money around fairly so that I can grow my business just like the other people do. Please hold these people accountable who are getting marketing dollars. Find out where they're spending the money and make sure that every demographic is represented so that we can all attend these events. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. Y'all keep up a good job. And I'm gonna pray for y'all because y'all need it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Linda Bell, and I just have one quick question. Maybe I'm missing something. In order to get funds from GAEDA, you have to apply for it, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
That's my question. Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the citizens of Alexandria for coming out and speaking this morning. The things that you are saying need to be heard. Your concerns need to be addressed. I've been a member of this board a couple of years now. Last year wasn't much business. We wasn't able to do much business because of in-house issues. And we are at a point now in 2025, where we have an opportunity to move forward. It does not help moving forward when we have members within on this board that creates doubt. Little subtle things that are being said as if GAEDA is operating shady or GAEDA is not trying to do the right thing. And that's not true, folks. A lot of the questions that are being asked here by my colleague can simply be answered. Pick up the phone. If you got a question about an accounting question, pick up the phone. If you have any kind of question, this Bernardo office is always open to answer those questions. So I say all that to say, a lot of the issues that are presented here are internal, self-inflicted. No one here is trying to misdirect funding or not be transparent in the way we issue money or make our decisions. But the thing we making decisions, sometimes they are not always the best decision. Sometimes it's not always the right decision. But trust, and what I know about this committee, and even my colleagues that sit here to the right that disagree, that stay right as a member of the board. I just ask that in some of those ideas that they bring to the meeting, some of their concerns, it can be addressed in-house. We are not in the business of trying to hide anything from anyone. And again, I would like to thank the public for their comments and making us aware of some things that we need to look at internally. Thank you.
No comment. I just want to say that I appreciate you saying that. I don't think the opinions that were just discussed, because I don't want to say those words, but being discussed, are in the community, they're in the workplace, they're everywhere. So having board members speak up on that can be invigorating and can mean that they're not just turning a blind eye. I get private conversations are important. I get having details and all that stuff, absolutely. But just to come to a board meeting and not hear back and forth banter would be also discouraging to me. So maybe we need to change our style on how we're doing it, but I think banter in a board is good because it actually makes sure everything's being looked at. So I want to commend those sides of whatever issue you are on and being passionate about it. And I like that the ideas are being brought forward. And thank you as a board for listening to all of our concerns, just not a certain amount.
Thank you.
All right, any other public comments? Number 11, motion to approve the cooperative endeavor agreement with River Oak Square Arts Center, amount not to exceed $15,000 for the 2025 exhibition. Roll call vote.
Dr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
No.
Yes.
More.
All right, thank you. Next item, motion to approve the cooperative endeavor agreement with the Arts Council of Central Louisiana in the amount not to exceed $20,000 for the 2025 Performing Arts Series. We have a motion. Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner comments, discussion. Public comments. Roll call vote.
And Dr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Williams? Mr. Carroll? Mr. Pell?
No.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
And Mr. Bowers? Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Next item, motion to approve cooperative endeavor agreement with the Central Louisiana Juneteenth Association in the amount not to exceed $14,000 for 2025 programs. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Commissioner discussion. Public comments.
What were the metrics from last year?
We have the metrics from last year.
Juneteenth.
The metrics for Juneteenth last year.
Okay.
I mean, again, place her with certain events, with that event being held at a church, places would not pick up the foot traffic, but she did have, hotel rooms, the artists that she had, you know, they did show up. I think some of you here attended those events, and they were well.
You know about what the room night usage was?
I don't, but she does, it's in the file.
Room night usage?
She did submit a final report, I just don't recall.
They asked for,
But this is not just for the Juneteenth event, this is for 2025 programs all through. If you look at the Washington and Evergreen.
it's a 7-day event, is that correct?
Series of things that they're doing, not just one event.
So their budget is about $53,000, give or take. They're asking for 14,000. Where's the difference going to get made up?
That was the response before that was required.
She worked really hard at getting us response.
As should all the other organizations, that was something that I was stressing that we required them to have other sponsors, not just us. Okay. Yeah.
And it, you know, we require other sponsors in grant criteria, the cooperative endeavor agreement. I mean, you know, it said that we're going to partner with people to do that. So there's two different things that we're talking about, grant application and cooperative endeavor agreement. So the criteria is slightly different than what we're asking. This is not a grant for her to do Juneteenth, that 3-day event. This is what to move her into the quality of life. One, because hopefully she's really the only one doing it, in the city. So, and we're very instrumental in getting that, has recognized. So the educational series, I think, Juneteenth celebration, of course, and several other seminars and different things that she will be doing to attract people to the area, as well as educate individuals already.
So on this request, 100% of the request was met. How is this request different than the Symphony or the museum, River Oaks, or any of the other grants that were not approved at 100%? Why is it 100%? Is there, I guess, what I'm asking is the consistency is how are we determining who gets 100%, who doesn't?
I do Excel sheets on each organization. I look at all of their invoices, look at what they can spend. Again, it's different when it's Washington and Evergreen. Because like I said, we do 20,000, the board, the committee decided to keep them the same. Because what they did, and that's not a lot of money that they're asking for. The museum, they asked for 60,000. That's not something based on where the board wants to go, with a series of things that we could accurately do. They were all in attendance at that committee meeting, and they were satisfied with what the committee was recommending. That's what's disheartening about this, because we talked to all of them. They know what's on this agenda. They know our thought process because we talked. The Juneteenth, that was one event that she got at 14,000. I talked to her, I let her know, that's not something that I'm gonna recommend for one event, but for the entire year, yeah, we can do that, let's do something different. I don't know if that answers.
No, it does. It does. I was gonna ask you what it was last year. I'm assuming it was around that.
Right, and she used the money, but you can tell when a person is trying hard, and I'm not saying she does, but you can tell when an organization is trying hard to spend the money, just to get it off the book. And we look at that. I mean, we look at it hard. And at the end of the day, when we bring recommendations, she issue is because we looked at all that, the expense sheet, the invoices that they submitted, is a catering, overstated, you know, because they know how much money they're gonna get. We have some caterers that will charge them the exact amount of money. We put, protocols in place to curb that, so we don't pay more than the per diem. Is it the Irish per diem? We don't pay more than federal rate, I'm sorry. So I hear a lot of people saying we don't have things in place, that's not true, but we do it in-house. And I'd be happy to sit down with anybody to talk with you about it, but in a board meeting of this setting, to have to go through everything that we go through on a daily basis and interacting with individuals is impossible. It's impossible. It's a lot of legwork, it's a lot of talking to people, comparing, researching, keeping up the files. We go in our storage closet almost more than we go into the break room because we're looking at files from 10 years ago, pulling up reports. So we're not just pulling out numbers and just saying, oh, just give it. We're not doing that. The other thing is we cannot, I don't believe that we as a board can make a person spend money with vendors. You know, we can suggest people. You know, we have a listing of folks that ask us, well, who can we use for this? We give them the radio stations, but remember, we're also looking for out-of-market, out of the media, not just locally. That's what our criteria states. So all of these things that we said, I don't know if that's addressing the concerns, but that's.
Well, it's
Actually, feeding off of what he was saying, I think it is important that we try to make some shifts in our applications to, hey, if there is marketing or advertising money given, and you have a choice of using either a local or a foreign entity, you must use the local entity. And I'm just using that as a news station, for example, or a news broadcast, or broadcast of any sort. Why not use the local option versus the foreign option? And the foreign option is not a reimbursable option unless you absolutely have to do it out of market, just to keep the money in the city.
Right, because again, we need to change the criteria. We're talking about bringing people into the city, attracting people to come in. Listeners in Alexandria are already here.
Absolutely.
So
If you have to go out of market, I get that.
radio station that can get out of the area in Mississippi, Texas, you know, Alabama. Those are the people that we want to advertise with. That does not mean that we cannot use local. But again, I'm going by, my military mind says, I'm going by what we have in our documents, the criteria that we have there. That's what I'm reporting. If we want to change it, then we need to come to the table and change it. But we can't do that during a meeting when we have, well, we already have an approved grant. I presented to this board a grant, a revised grant policies and procedures with block grants, based on what you said. Didn't go anywhere. We need to revisit that. That's what our strategic retreat is for. And we really need to have one so we can come back together. As you know, each time the board changes, ideas change, different things change. So every 4 years, and lately, this political football that we've been playing is going way left. So we need to come back together and figure out what it is we want to do at least for the next 4 years. And not hold people, once they get here, after they filled out what we say we wanted from them, and then get up here and hold us to a different standard. That's unfair to them. And quite frankly, it's embarrassing for the organization.
Well, it's about making revisions for the positive for the future. And these kind of things that come up during the meetings because that's what may be at the top of somebody's mind. Hey, we may need to look at this. So I'm talking about for the future.
I think in a nutshell, what needs to be said or is being said is what you're saying is not inappropriate. This is just an inappropriate time to discuss it during the time where we've already made endeavors and we're going through the motion. What you want to discuss, I believe, should be more appropriately discussed before this. So that when we get to this, we don't have to discuss that. and then we're dealing with what's in front of us instead of dealing with what should have been taken care of at first. Does that make sense? I mean, that's the way I think. In other words, I'm saying,
But it's very important that the public also hear that type of feedback. They need to know the transactions that are happening within this board. It's important that they know we're talking about this.
right, and that's where I
And I don't want to take this conversation anymore. Please carry on, but I just want to make that comment.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to do, so that's, for example, that's why we're trying to put the community meeting on the Thursday. So we can talk about all this, and we go through the items on the regular day. That was the purpose of the last meeting, so we can start addressing all of that. Then, that we're held up trying to be focused now, discussing stuff that we have to really, that was the purpose. Public comments?
I was open to the meeting, those Thursday meetings, because just real quick, sorry.
What was mentioned just by the board was the public would be, benefited by hearing the back and forth of the decision process. So if these meetings are going to be taking place on a Thursday or another time, would that be open to the public as well? So we could hear that? That would be great.
Yeah, all the meetings are open to the public.
Wonderful. And that's publicly posted on,
Yes.
it's always 24 hours in advance. And then Urban Cats has been doing a great job. That's how I found out about the last couple
You
of
also
projects.
can go to our website and, click on live view, all our meetings are.
Yeah, but just the ones that come up, sometimes they're pretty quickly and they don't have enough time. So I want to make sure that I had that Thursday on there.
Good morning. Jules Green, City Councilman at Large. The Juneteenth committee person has a new job and was not able to come today. Mr. Patel, her funding not only comes from GAEDA, the City of Alexandria provides funding, Paragon provides funding, and other entities provide funding. So GAEDA is not the sole provider. As Mr. Yee said, that in committee meetings on the floor, you were absent if I'm not mistaken. So when you don't attend committee meetings and need answers prior to the general meeting, it would be conducive to call the chair of the legal and/or the administrator. That would move this meeting along much smoother. As far as advertising and the hearing radio communications, excuse me, you want the bang for your buck. You want to be heard farther than 5 blocks. So we need to, in answering the lady's question, notices for all meetings. I'm on the email list, and so everyone gets those notices. If you choose not to attend those meetings, that's your prerogative. Thank you kindly. Have a blessed day.
Any other public comments? I'm gonna get a roll call vote for number 14. Oh, sorry, go ahead, sir.
Once again, I'm Dan Henry Gray Jr. When is the next meeting?
On the third Tuesday.
On the third Tuesday of the month, our regular meeting, but if you give, my assistant your email address or contact information, we can let you know 24 hours before if we have a committee meeting.
Okay. Every Tuesday, third Tuesday,
Every third Tuesday
Every third.
of the month.
8:15 p.m. a.m.
That's when our regular meetings are. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Reverend Williams? Mr. Carroll? Mr. Patel?
No.
Mr. Warrior?
Yes.
Mr. Calvin?
All right, thank you, ma'am. Number 14, motion to approve a cooperative endeavor agreement with Central Louisiana Regional Chamber of Commerce in the amount not to exceed $10,000 for 2025 programs. We have a motion. Motion, we have a second. Commissioner discussion. Public comments. All right, roll.
About 14.
Yes.
We need to hold that because you got the submission later, and I don't think you all were ready to do that.
I agree with it. Motion to hold.
Or substitute to the postpone number 14 to the next, to March.
And she's aware.
That is coming to.
Okay, that was my comment about the chamber not getting the information to you all February the 4th. And now you didn't receive it for today, and she stated that you would receive it. But I just want to say one thing. The 20 years this board has been involved, and the chamber has gone to the Mardi Gras Association in Washington, D.C. Has this board ever been included to attend that meeting where you reach out to other legal people and grant offers to get information to come, to go there?
One, early on, back in, I think, 2006 or 7, Mr. Muller was invited to join.
Because I noticed that last, on the 4th, she said that you were going to be included in advertising, things of that nature. So they're coming for $10,000, whatever the final account will be. But you guys need, you all, this board needs to be included in all activities that seek funding, jobs for Alexandria. We need to be included. GAEDA, I'm saying, needs to be included. We'll be back when she comes back. Thank you.
And just to piggyback off of, what Councilman Green was speaking of, we want to build relationships with organizations. We don't want it to just be one-sided. So at the same time, in a relationship, it works both ways. So if you're not playing with me, or you don't invite me to your birthday party, and I don't, but you want to come to mine, something doesn't seem right. Or you want to invite other entities to these organizational events, such as what he was speaking about with the Washington DC, and they having the economic. I'm trying to figure out why we weren't invited. If we're economic development, and we're the economic development authority for the greater Alexandria, city of Alexandria, kind of like a slap in the face. I don't want to play with you, but can I borrow some money, or can I get some money? And to me, that's a little disrespectful, I feel, to the board. And that's just me piggybacking. I don't know if anybody else has any more comments.
So substitute motion to move the item to March 2025. We have a motion for that.
That's,
Motion.
Any other public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 15, the motion to approve the rate request from Louisiana State University, Alexandria, the amount not to exceed $12,500 to set the bid fees for the Red River Athletic Conference to be held February 27th through the 2nd. We have a motion.
Motion. Second.
Discussion. Public comments.
My name's Tyler Unsick. I'm the Director of Athletics at LSU. I've been here for 4 years. I'm not from Louisiana. I moved here from Washington State. And so, complete outsider here. When I first got here, I was introduced to Angie and GAEDA and was told any event that we can put heads in beds was going to be a great event for GAEDA. And so we went to work and started putting a bunch of events together with our great university and with the community. And we have 4 or 5 different events that we run. We have another event that's 2 items down for a tennis tournament. But all of these bring people, like this basketball tournament is 16 teams from New Mexico, from Texas, from Louisiana that come in and bring loads of people. It's going to be over 150 beds over the 3 and 4 days. And the economic impact is very large with this event. We've continued to have it here about 5 or 6 years, and all the teams love coming here. They love the hospitality, love the area, love the food. It's been a fantastic event for our community and for our university as we continue to grow. And so we continue to seek more opportunities like this to bring more people to our great area and our great community. So we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Roll call vote?
Dr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Bernie Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Carroll, Mr. Carroll,
No.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
and Mr. Townsend. Motion passes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. 16, motion to approve the rent request of Kent Plantation House in amount not to exceed $10,000 for advertising and marketing of the tour day value to be held September 19th through the 20th.
And that's been seconded, on the motion.
All right, substitute motion to postpone number 16 to March 2025. Any motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Mr. Williams.
All right, number 17, motion to approve a request from Louisiana State University of Alexandria in the amount not to exceed $5,000 to assist with meals advertising and marketing for the LSUA tennis tournament, March 27th through the 30th. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second? Discussion. Public comments. Roll call vote.
Dr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Bernie Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Carroll, Mr. Carroll,
No.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
and Mr. Townsend. Motion passes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Number 18, motion to approve a grant request for Frederick Rate Nurse in amount not to exceed $5,000 to assist with bills, green fees, advertisement, and marketing of the body utilization of, March 29th through the 30th, 2025.
Motion.
Do we have a second? Discussion. Other comments? Roll call vote.
Dr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Bernie Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Carroll, Mr. Carroll,
No.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
and Mr. Townsend. Motion passes.
Thank you, ma'am. Number 19, motion to approve a rate request from Manor Hospital in amount not to exceed $10,000 for bills and advertising and marketing. Substitute motion to postpone number 19 to March 2025. Do we have a motion? Have a motion, do we have a second? Postpone to March.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 20, motion to approve a grant request for the citywide interdenominational crusade in amount not to exceed 2,500 for advertising and marketing of the citywide revival to be held April 21st to the 24th. We have a motion,
Motion.
we have a second. I'll second.
In my opinion, and looking at the past and looking at the prereqs and everything that they've done in the past, I've seen the citywide grow phenomenally, which is very positive in this city because we need it. And I would like to do a substitute motion to increase from 2,500 to 7,500.
We're going to get it advertised.
Yes.
Last year, we was 9,000, they give you the money, we want to have 2,500 again, somebody over the rest of the board. So go with the grant and things like that.
I definitely think we need more.
So there's a substitute motion to change the amount from 2,500 to 7,500. We have a second for that.
It's behind that.
I have a quick question. So we talked about earlier about another endeavor that we were talking about, and we said this is not the right format when talking about questioning the validity of it. So I don't understand how this is different when we're talking about the validity and getting more money. So we talked about, my last comment was, it's good for the public to hear this, but we were told by one thing, let's stop it. We've already discussed it. There was an agreement on it. Then we went to a vote. So I'm just understanding the difference between the two.
Okay, your request was around 11,000, I think.
I'm not asking for the request.
But the board
Yeah.
has the option, we're not giving them more.
No, I'm not asking for more. I'm just asking the discussion taking place now when we couldn't take a discussion about another. I'm not asking about the merits. The merits are fantastic. Please, no, the merits. Correct. So because a substitute was brought and now it's being discussed and a substitute was not brought on the other one, I'm just making sure I
We're discussing
understand.
the new motion. So we do discussion after every item. But he brought a substitute.
Okay, I must be completely
We're
wrong.
discussing the substitute.
Okay. Okay. I just thought from what I understood from the last comment was all of these kind of decisions are made in a meeting because that's the best format for it. That's why I was signing up to come to those meetings. And then further down the list, we stopped and we're reviewing the merits again. And I didn't understand why this one was being reopened and looked at versus the other
Nobody
one.
had any discussion on the other. Nobody had a discussion.
I thought the discussion was one board member talking about getting documentation and
Well,
all
if
that
they
stuff.
choose, if they choose to discuss, you have to have an opportunity to discuss every item on the board and the public. Because nobody had a discussion for that particular item. We didn't.
So the other item was discussed prior. This item has not been discussed? I guess
So every item has a discussion period.
I'm gonna refrain my comment. I'm gonna do a little more research on how these kind of take place, because I'm still confused. I'm not gonna waste your guys' time. It was a formality, how things are introduced and what we can discuss and what we can't
Everything you
discuss.
can discuss, and nobody had a discussion.
I think what you're confusing is when we were talking about discussing making changes in the policies and different things like that.
No, I think it was an event. It was actually, I believe, the
Well, that's
Juneteenth event.
So he can discuss it.
Correct.
The item.
But I thought
nobody
that-
said anything, then you don't have to discuss it. So for example, the last one, nobody had any discussion.
No, I agree, the discussion and moving on. I'm just saying, I thought there was discussion, and I believe, and I could be wrong, I'll go back and review the tape, in the matter of bringing up the concern that one board member had, it was kind of like, well, we talk about those at other meetings, so we shouldn't talk about it now. And that's what I understood, that conversation is really appropriate for those Thursday meetings. And I was just wondering why for one event, we should discuss them in Thursday meetings, and on this event, it's appropriate for this format. But I will go back and do my research and I'll watch the tape again, but that was my confusion. The merit of both things were not under question at all. It's just, what can we talk about and what we can't talk about? Because I feel like certain things we're allowed to bring up and talk about, and other things are kind of like, don't talk about it. And that's a perception. I will go back and I will do my homework.
Here, I'm going to answer some of that. I take a lot of notes. I may not say much, but I take a lot of notes. The discussion was number 11 about the concern about River Oaks. Square Arts, the amount of money being had was the initial discussion. That's the part where we were talking about the amount of money. On this particular item, a substitute motion was brought into effect. On number 11, Commissioner Patel did not have a substitute motion to increase to 15 to whatever he desired, if he thinks it should be. Therefore, now you have another substitute motion that we're all discussing the formality and understanding why we're doing that amount and all of that. And that can help you on that part of what we're discussing. As you said, it wasn't about the policy, but it was about a certain item, which was number 11. And you stated, I write great notes.
Good,
Stated
I'm glad.
that 15 should be more.
Correct.
And then, but you could have brought up a substitute motion.
Correct.
And saying, I don't agree with 15, I agree with 28.
And thank you, you clarified it perfectly. If we would have substituted a motion at that time, it would look like we're doing now. Okay, thank you for explaining that. That really appreciates it.
Once again, I'm Dan Henry Gray Jr. We still on number 20, right? What about number 20? Okay. Now it says motion to approve a grant request from Citywide Interdenominational Crusade in an amount not to exceed $2,500 for advertisement and marketing of the citywide revival to be held April the 21st through the 24th of 2025. What is the crusade about? What is this, the citywide interdenominational crusade? What is it about? Okay, hold up. Talk about money wise right now. It says not to exceed $2,500. Okay, hold up, let me speak, sir. Now, y'all trying to change it up. What's on this document said $2,500. But you committed trying to change it want to change to $7,000 increase, but the increase gonna be $4,500 for y'all. Why you gonna need more money for this here?
Thank you so much. To the board, Chairman, thank you. This is something that has been held for over 30 years. And it has continually gone up. The attendance has gone up, and with the advertising, the marketing cost has, if you would notice, has tripled in these last couple of years. In the last couple of years, we've come and we've asked for, I think, the year before, we asked for like 15,000, and we got 8,000, and then another year, we asked for, last year, we asked for 11, I believe it was. We had, and the committee gave us 9, which we have made that to be sufficient. We have kept perfect transparency. We have made sure that we have done exactly what we said that we would do with this. And so we're asking because the cost has gone up. And we have a discussion as to, I agree that if well, that was a board matter, the substitute motion has been added. Now the substitute motion is being added based upon the cost. And so that's what we're asking, that's what we're requesting. And we're asking this board we're humbly asking that you would grant us this. Thank you.
Any other public comments? We're doing a substitute motion for the new amount for 7,500 for the citywide line room. A roll call vote, please.
Dr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder,
Yes.
Mr. Carroll,
No.
Mr. Patel,
No.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
and Mr. Carroll. Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Number 21, motion to approve the grant request from the Louisiana Taxidermists Association in the amount not to exceed $9,000 for meals and advertising and marketing of the annual convention to be held May 15th to the 18th, 2025. We have a motion.
Motion.
We have a second. Second. Any discussion? Public comments? Roll call vote.
Dr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Robert Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Carroll,
No.
Mr. Bell,
No.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
and Mr. Carroll. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 22, motion to approve a grant request from the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs in the amount not to exceed $5,000 for the state convention to be held January 26th to 29th.
I postpone.
We have a substitute to,
Yes.
substitute motion to move number 22 to the March 2025 meeting. We have a motion. We have a second. I'll second, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, number 23, motion to approve a grant request from the Louisiana Department of Veterans of Foreign Wars in the amount not to exceed $2,000 for the council admin meeting to be held August 22nd to the 24th, 2025. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Do we have a discussion? Public comments? Here.
Once again, I'm Dan Henry Gray Jr., and I think those veterans should get at least $3,000 more.
Thank you, sir. Roll call vote, or any other public comments? Roll call vote. Yes.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Thank you. Next item, motion to not approve a grant request for the Women of Valor and that happening this year, May 18th, 2025.
Motion.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Discussion.
They submitted their application, we never received the supporting documentation. Made them a bunch of times, referred to the policy and procedure, and we didn't hear back from them.
Is anyone here from that organization, from the Women of Valor?
All right, so this motion is not to approve it, can we do a roll call vote?
Councilman?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, thank you. Next item, motion to not approve a grant request for Grand Lodge of Louisiana FNAM 214th annual Grand Lodge session to be held April 25th to the 28th. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second? Discussion. Public comments? Roll call vote? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right, thank you. Last item, motion not approve a grant request from LA State Association of Honors of Health 98th State Convention to be held June 19th to 22nd. Do we have a motion? All right,
Motion.
do we have a second? Discussion. Public comments? Roll call vote, please. Yes.
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 Do we have executive director comments?
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to thank you, all for approving the contract and for the ones that, opposed it. I look forward to trying to work with you to communicate forward. Also, Mr. Carroll, and Mr. Carroll, I understand your concerns about the granting. But I remember very clearly when they first decided to do granting. They hired a, grant writer to pull together, because we needed to figure out a way to give money. And so many people were coming to us asking. This was the mechanism that to do that under our order. So it's not illegal, it's not different, it was a way for us to be able to do that. It's changed through the years. Cookies forward, it's changed. We've added some things to protect ourselves from certain concerns that you have. And that's right, that's all I'm gonna say about that. I would ask the board to try to consider having a retreat in the very near future. Also, I would like for each one of you to go to the board portal. There is a slideshow in the last retreat that we held that goes into data mission, board roles and responsibilities, executives, and take a look at that. It's very important, because I think over the past year, the waters have been muddy. And that's unfortunate, because GAEDA has had such a stellar relationship and reputation with the community, with each other, even though we have a wonderful conversation. So I look forward to getting back to doing the work with GAEDA. Like our bishop said, to create a better quality of life and understanding. Thank you.
Commissioner comments? Legal comments? County comments?
None.
Public comments and questions?
Frank Jackson. Good morning to everyone. It is so refreshing to see that this economic driving agency and cultural development enhancing in Central Louisiana has moved forward into becoming the bright spot that we can be. We are growing in our education system. LSUA is jumping in bounds. LC, CL, TCC, our education system. Our kids are growing educationally. And so we're excited about that. Our hospitals are doing good. So I'm excited to see us moving forward. I know there are some challenges, but I know within, that's okay. We grow through challenges. We grow through even conflict. And I want to say thank you, one, to the board. Thank you, Ms. Angie, the executive director, who's in between and follow the dictates, as well as the policies and procedure. And thank you, amen, to the staff, the legal counsel, and all that is here today. I believe that everyone here is in support of GAEDA. I believe everyone here come to support the work that is going on. And certainly, Central Louisiana is on the uptick. There are some real challenges that we have, but with your help, perhaps we can change some of the out-migration of those that are in higher education that is leaving us. We call it brain drain. So it affects all of us. And our corporation here is a bright spot in Central Louisiana. And I hope that bright spot is what goes out. The conflict, we grow through it. It's been around, we're gonna do good. And you got great leadership on this board. So I wanna say that to you. Good job. Thank you for helping Central Louisiana become the bright spot that it can be and grow to be the hub with GAEDA as being one of the parts of the engine that moves us forward. So thank each and every one of you.
Any other public comments?
Yes, I want to echo Reverend Frank Jackson. Also, our city, we have a good city. We brag about our city wherever that we go. I know I do. The best people in the world is right here in Central Louisiana. We have our differences. We're very diverse, and so we have our differences. But in the end, we come together, and we get the job done. We're one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, whether a lot of people believe that or know that or not. We are, and we're growing. And I want to thank this board for Ms. Angevinato, and I'm gonna tell you why. She's been there. She's been there from day one. She's been at the last director's side. She knows this GAEDA. She knows it backwards and forward. She deserved it. And I believe that, and I'm not gonna say behind the doors what I wouldn't say publicly. This young lady deserves it. I know that she's going to do you well with the whole staff and everybody that you have, with your legal counsel, with your accounting. I know that this is going to be done. Everything is going to be done decently and in order. And you'll see, you'll get we have the best, the cream of the crop. We have the best. I'm on a couple of boards myself. This will grow into be one of the even more better boards that we have in our city. And so I want to say that as a citizen of this city, I want to thank you, and I know that we'll get the job done. Thank you. You're doing a good job.
Once again, I am Dan Hemingway Jr., With all due respect, Mr. Reverend Turner, I know who you are. You represent Christian Love Baptist Church. Matter of fact, we got about 500, I'm exaggerating right now. We got about 30 churches in our town, Louisiana. What the people need, we want our business. Boom, baby boom. Business, money, money, money for everybody, not just the church. We want business for everybody.
Any other public comments? Not meeting adjourned.
Blessing to be. What you say? If we don't, Gary, he gonna be a whole lot. Okay. That's fair.